Count Your Way Through China by Jim Haskins, illustrated by Dennis Huckerman. 1. Yi. China is one country with two governments. The People's Republic of China is made up of mainland China and Hainan Island, which is in the South China Sea. The Republic of China is made up of the island of Taiwan and three groups of tiny islands in the Formosa Strait. The country has been divided in this way since 1949, when fighting over who was to lead the country resulted in two separate governments. Two. In 1972, the People's Republic of China gave the United States two giant pandas. Their names are Ling Ling and Hing Hing, and they live in the National Zoo in Washington, D.C. Giant pandas in China live in bamboo forests in the southwestern part of the country. Every 100 years, much of this bamboo dies as a natural part of its life cycle. Bamboo is part of the panda's diet, and in the early 1980s, many pandas in China died because of the lack of its food. In 1984, school children from the United States donated money to help save the remaining pandas. 3. San. Three Chinese li equal a mile. The Chinese call their famous Great Wall the 10,000 li wall, which would make the wall about 3,300 miles long. It twists and turns so much that no one is sure of its exact length. Workers began to build the Great Wall about 2,500 years ago to keep out invaders from the religions that are now called Mongolia and Manchuria. The wall was built in sections, many of which were linked together around 214 BC, around 206 years after it was begun. Most of the wall that stands today is a result of rebuilding and repair work that was done several hundred years ago. 4. Sioux. Four very important animals in Chinese legend are the dragon, the unicorn, the phoenix, and the tortoise. In the Chinese myth that explains how the world was created, all four animals helped a being named Pan Ku, who spent 18,000 years making the universe. When Pan Ku died, his flesh became the world's soil, his blood its rivers, his sweat the rain, his hair the trees and plants. His left eye turned into the sun, his right eye into the moon. His breath became the wind, and his voice made thunder. 5. Wu. All Chinese music is based on a musical scale of 5 tones. No matter what the instrument, the 5-tone scale is the same. By contrast, the music that much of the Western world is familiar with is based on 8 tones. 6. Liao. Calligraphy is the art of writing with a brush and ink. Each combination of brushstrokes stands for an object or an area. At one time, Chinese children began learning this art at the age of 6, but now more and more children write only with pencils and pens. Traditionally, calligraphy has been closely connected with painting. Chinese artists use the same brush for both art forms, and calligraphy is often used to explain the subject of a painting. 7. Qi. China is a huge country. Only Canada and the Soviet Union are larger in size. There are 7 different zones of vegetation in China. Zones of vegetation are areas that have the right climate and soil to support plants. Because much of the western China has a harsh, dry climate, most of the zones of vegetation, and therefore much of China's agriculture, are found in eastern China. Depending on the zone, Chinese farmers grow such crops as tea, cotton, rice, and bananas. These 7 zones are cold temperature, prairies and steppes, temperature, warm temperature, tropical, conifer, deserts. 8. Ba. The art of making porcelain was developed and perfected in China. By the time the Chinese wrote down the methods of making porcelain, there was enough information to fill 8 volumes. Before they were written down, the secrets of the porcelain making were so closely guarded that the travelers were not allowed to stay overnight in Kitchington, a town where the emperor's porcelain was made. Some of the special secrets of making porcelain have been lost over time. One such secret is the art of painting fish, insects, and animals inside the bowls and other vessels in such a way that they are visible only when the vessel is filled with liquid. 9. Zhou. A traditional festival that honors the 9 stars of the plow is held in China every year. According to the legend, these stars descended once a year to be honored. In return, the 9 stars help farmers have a good planting season. 10. Shi. There were 10 major dynasties in Chinese history. A dynasty is a family or group that maintains power for several generations. The Shang dynasty used the wheel to develop horse-drawn war chariots. The Zhou dynasty is when Confucius, the most famous Chinese philosopher, lived. The Qin dynasty used a unified system of writing during this time. The Han dynasty invented paper. The Sui dynasty was responsible for building the Grand Canal. The Tang dynasty was when porcelain was developed. The Song dynasty is when they used acupuncture, a way to relieve pain. The Yun dynasty, in 1279, the Mongols invaded China from the north. Their leader, Kublai Khan, established this dynasty. The Ming dynasty sent great fleets of ships abroad to engage in trade, and the Qing dynasty was the last one before a republic, a form of government without a royal leader, was established. The book, Count Your Way Through China, not only taught you a little bit about China, but it also taught you how to count 1 through 10 in Chinese. 1. Yi. 2. 3. San. 4. Su. 5. Wu. 6. Liao. 7. Qi. 8. Ba. 9. Zhou. 10. Shi. Again, Yi, San, Su, Wu, Liao, Qi, Ba, Zhou, Shi. I hope that you've enjoyed this. I hope that you have learned something new, and I hope that you can use this again one day. Enjoy!